everybody. And this is a little bit of a test, but it will be an informative test. So if you want to hang around, you're welcome to. But it will just be a mini test, mini presentation. I'll be right back. All right, and thank you guys so much. If you are returning to Black Spring from earlier, thank you so much for tuning in earlier. And I was a little bit, I was a little bit remiss not to mention this. I wanted to get into this article a little bit, so we'll see. But I'm also going to do this from a different perspective, so it's part of the test. So if you're here, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I'm going to be seeing how it comes across on here. Thanks so much for coming in on your July 4th Sunday, your July 4th weekend, extended weekend. All right, so thank you so much again, and thank you guys so much. If you're not sure if you're coming in, and looks like Nick Smith is returned, and also I guess this is the third time I'm on because I managed to catch somebody doing some fireworks, down near the reservoir, I guess, and I actually caught about 40 seconds of that. So it's probably the previous the previous video, the one that came out before this one. So I don't know, you maybe get to see some of that, but I'm going to share something with you, and I am adding a new segment, I guess, that's going to be entitled "Have You Seen This?" And so it's just a different way of framing things. I'm going to share the screen with you. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you, Nick Smith, for returning. Really appreciate it. So this one, I'm probably going to talk. Probably going to talk over this one a little bit. Is actually what I'm planning on doing here. Not sure if I'm successful, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, I think this is it. It's still not it. Still not it. That's why this is a test. So if you're generous enough to hang around for a test, then I appreciate the support, and thanks so much to the patrons and the subscribers. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you're having a nice holiday. And I don't know if something inspires you, or there's something that you want to tune into, or something thought provoking. Then good. Thanks for coming around. I appreciate it. Let's see here. But this is a test, so you can give me a little bit of extra leverage where available. But I will get into the article, because I kind of talked about divisiveness on the last stream. I talked about that a little bit on the last one, but I'm going to show you that this thing is chocked full of, some divisive rhetoric, for the lack of a better word. So I'm going to do that, and thanks for tuning in. So hopefully I can get the right one here. And you can hear, maybe at some point you can hear there are some fireworks going off. So maybe you guys are getting a chance to see some fireworks where you are. Hopefully you are. And I don't know, maybe they're exceeding your expectations here. So, but here we go. So I might talk a little bit over this one, and then I'll take you into the article. So, as I was saying, this actually comes from USA Today. And it talks about, it's entitled Juneteenth and July 4th are complementary Independence Days that we should all celebrate. So, it's a little thick just to start with, but then I did entitle this, Have You Seen This? Maybe not. Um, Sometimes some of the juiciest things come through on, some of your mainstream whatevers. But yeah, so that's the article that I want to dig into a little bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hello to Latin Patriot. Thank you so much for coming in. I also hit reload because I'm actually going to be offering a little bit of a liner and some commentary here. And I said reload because they just reload. The rhetoric is reloaded, the division is reloaded, and it's usually the same types of. It's just on a loop. It's just on a rotation. As I talked about, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, where we have these two. We have talented people representing the United States in the Olympics, no matter what their background is. But then you also had, it's ironic that they would pick this time right after a Juneteenth, and then you have two athletes that I consider them both activists, and you kind of have them being pitted. You have them kind of wedged between even a senator. I think it was Tom Cotton, I believe, that was stating that he made a comment about I think Barry maybe not being allowed to participate based on her display or her activism. So it's irony. It's always, I called it a blockbuster earlier. But they try, they really try, but it's really beyond, it's disgusting at this point. But what do we do? So we will be looking at our leisure here at the USA liner, in which is entitled Juneteenth and July 4th, complementary Independence Days that we should all celebrate. So it's funny how they, I guess Juneteenth went off like such a hit that, they have formed opinions about how they're already telling everybody how they should perceive it, and how we should, how we can reconcile our, this just makes me think of the whole imperialistic and this white guilt and this colonialism charge that has, as it spread, it's a virus in itself. So we're going to look at that. Latin Patriot says, Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day to you. Thank you so much. And this is a test, but maybe we'll simulate some thought here. And Nick Smith is here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for tolerating the test. Okay. All right, so I'm going to halt this. And then I'm actually going to take you to the liner. I do actually, I want to share that screen with you. Quite a bit of imagery on that screen. But yeah, I'll try to only share what I think is relevant. So thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the article with you. Now, if you're still around, new hack or two that I'd like to try to bring in. So, all right, so let's go to that USA Today liner. Okay, they've gone to great lengths to give you a lot of imagery here. So according to this, is USA Today, which was actually published yesterday. Juneteenth and July 4th are not opposed. We can honor both holidays and continue to love our flawed country. Okay, do you see how that starts out? Yeah, and this is under the penmanship of DeForest quote, Buster, in quote, Soares and Robert Randolph. That's kind of thick, right? So I'm not going to play you whatever this is. I mean, I could, but I haven't watched it, so I'm not sure. I might. We'll see. We'll see. This is a test, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how thick of rhetoric we're dealing with. But I said before I get into this whole thing, there's always a point of, and I said, division. There's always a point. They always pit. They're always managing to pit a Black person versus a white person. And with these activists, they're already framed as victims, and they're already hailed by their sponsors, whether it be Nike or whether it be, who knows, there's a ton of sponsors that go into the rescue, that run to the rescue, or that will defend activism. And so, yeah. But it also brings me back to, I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know what generations. I mean, I think I have an idea of, the age group of people that actually watch this channel on some level. But if you go back to, dare I say, the Rocky anthology, I don't know if you remember, in which I think it was the second, or maybe it was the first Rocky, in which I think Rocky Balboa got an opportunity to fight Apollo Creed. And I think Apollo made, I'm going to paraphrase this because, he was asked a question by a promoter, was it ironic that you're fighting, you're a Black guy fighting a white guy on America's birthday. And then Apollo flips it and says, well, is it ironic that a white man is fighting me, a Black guy? Something in that ilk. But you guys can do the math. But it just kind of brings back, it kind of triggered, not triggered. It kind of reminded me of something like that. But they use these kinds of, that was Hollywood. But how far are we off of that right now? We're not really that far from that kind of, rhetoric, or even, is this the subconscious? Has this been the subconscious of our nation, and for how long? And then it just seems like we've always gotten a preview of underlying tensions. And I find that, for them to do this, they use athleticism to, your warriors, you got your natural warrior, or your natural, triumph, in athleticism, or, the spirit of, indomitable spirit of man, and all of this. So it just, and that's why I kind of gave it the whole blockbuster frame as well. It just seems like, we're always a part of their movie. We're always, whether we want to be or not, and we have been for a long time. And we've seen most of what we're watching is just a remake. We've seen it before. We've seen elements. We've seen the same kinds of rhetoric, or the same types of materials, dealing with the same type of society materials before in the past. I won't necessarily call Apollo Creed or Sylvester Stallone old Hollywood, but it's certainly not. It's not today's Hollywood, without a doubt. So sorry for that. I'm full of digressions on these tests, so I appreciate you guys for tuning in. So let's just have a look at this. We might go into this thick situation here. Yeah, we might go into that clip. I don't know how crazy it is, but you can see from the graphics here, you've got two fingers, and you've got your fist here, and you've got your map of the U.S. Dripping on the map. All right. So according to this, Biden just signed legislation to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Here's why this once local celebration is significant to U.S. history. So they're going into this. Barely 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Juneteenth, a national holiday, for the first time. This weekend, we celebrate Independence Day for the 245th time. Now, I'm kind of deconstructing this. I'm not sure. I'm just, are we highlighting dominance here? Are we trying to show oh, Juneteenth 1 and Independence 245. That's racism. No, I'm going to say that's uh, economic racism or whatever. I don't know. You twist things around. I mean, how much more twisted can you get? So just take it with a grain of salt, you know? All right. So at first glance, these celebrations might seem at odds. Might seem at odds. Can you celebrate Juneteenth without feeling as least ambivalence about July 4th? This interpretation oversimplifies Juneteenth while betraying the totality of American history, and it presents false choices. Either you are for racial justice or you love America. Either you must deny there's a problem or deny our country's ideals. But if you love America and all it stands for, then you love justice, and that encompasses racial justice. The way we see our history informs how we meet today's challenges. Do we see only the problems, or do we see the solutions we have created to address them time and again over nearly 2.5 centuries? Wow, this is thick. All right, so then we even have some cartoon graphics here. So I'm not sure. I want to click on this, but I don't want the whole thing to, the whole guts of the game to fall apart on that. So I don't know. I'll zoom in. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks so much for coming back for the test and for looking at this. Okay, so looks like you've got, but can you guys see this? I think this is actually quite interesting. Do you notice that you're looking at the stars here, but then you've got COVID. You've got COVID graphics inside of the stars. The COVID model has taken over the stars. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down here? I mean, I think USA Today has outdone themselves. I mean, they're just, this is fireworks in itself. So you've got that. And let's see, let me click on this just for kicks. This might be taking us out of it. So these are Independence Day cartoons. So I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, it seems. But, this is a test. So, all right. So you got Independence Day cartoons from the USA Today network. But I don't know if those cartoons are that friendly. I don't know if anybody wants their Independence Day marred with COVID models, with COVID germs splattered on your American flag. Okay, so and you have your little conversation bubble here that says they're from the low vax states. Holy smokes, this thing is loaded. Okay, I didn't quite get to that. I'd like to read some more of this propaganda inside of this thing. It looks like they have a total of 22. But do you see the message that they're pumping out here? They're basically creating another crisis inside of the crisis, I guess. It's already been seen. Let's see. But it's okay. So here you go. I'm down the rabbit hole here. Are you guys just ride with me on this one because I'm thinking this is interesting. These are your Independence Day cartoons. Yep, I can always spot the repeat customers. This is the fireworks here, but the ones that we're speaking to, speaking with the CD. Okay, so here we go. Now we're back to the imagery with the flag. So you've got your COVID models mixed in here with the stars. All right, it says Happy 4th of July with the star. And then it says, what's up with those guys? And it says, they're from the low mocktail states. Now, is that divisive enough for you? I don't know. USA, I guess they're quite ultra liberal or something, or progressive, because this is a divisive cartoon. Can you imagine USA Today creating cartoons that are basically singling out the mocktail states? It's like a little digital civil war, a little graphic, a little cartoon, This is how wars start, with this kind of stuff. All right, so I'm going to keep going. Maybe I'm reaching, but this is what tests are made of here on Black Spring. All right, so that's by Don Landgren, USA Today Network. All right, so quote, so you're saying it was basically the founding fathers' version of hashtag Free Britney. Now, I haven't quite followed. I'm going to put the link out here just for a second, in case you guys want to. In case you guys want to chime in on some of this. I mean, it's sometimes you have to laugh about some of this stuff, because otherwise you'll just, you'll burst. All right. So I'm just going to drop the link out here if you want to chime in on this whole propaganda here. But yeah, I mean, USA Today, pretty toxic. But here it is, Declaration of Independence, 1776. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not following the whole Britney Spears deal. So we'll skip down to the next one, because I'm already off of the Juneteenth thing, because I went down the rabbit hole. Okay, so according to this, is it weird that we celebrate America by purchasing a bunch of explosives made in a communist country? Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys catch the cartoons? Okay, I have a comment here. Well, it's Latin Patriot says whack. And Latin Patriot says, I wish I could be near Wi-Fi or near Wi-Fi. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Who do I have over on? Well, I think it's my situation. I think it's, my ISP. But in the future, my ISP will be different. It'll be in a different area, different choices, and yeah, hopefully much better choices, a different area. So maybe we can eliminate some of these issues going forward. Okay, I'm going to scroll down some more. All right, so this one, it looks like Statue of Liberty, and no verbiage there. So I'm just looking at some of the people. Okay, so it looks like we got quite a bit of, we'll do one more here. Okay, not just for the 4th, the fireworks here are year-round. So are you guys seeing the hashtags? I see a hashtag. And then I see something else. Oh my gosh. I think I know what that's about. I think that might be the PE, 4th letter of the alphabet, and then the 15th letter of the alphabet. I think that's exactly what that means. Only a couple of stars there. That's amazing what the stars reveal, huh? Stars directing your fate. All right, I'm scooting down here. Look at this one. As America readies for their July 4th. And the Panda Bear says, remember where they get 95% of their fireworks. You guys see the distinction here? See, this is almost like a rabbit hole. The tests are essentially, could be rabbit holes. And yeah. So we have Lion Patriots is not weird at all, is what makes USA great. We can do these fireworks. It's art, pyrotechnics. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is kind of, it's revealing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up and we'll go to one more here. It's 20. I'm not doing all 20 something cartoons. It gets to be, it's fun, but here it is. It says, this news never gets old. On the back of this one says July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that one's, you can kind of see that there's two representations here. You can see one that's a little bit more, one that seems to be more to the right, and the one that's a little bit more to the left. We have a happy birthday here. Uncle Sam here. Okay. And here you go, right here. You have another one with a happy 4th. And Lady Liberty is torching the Wiener Schnitzel or whatever that is. So yeah, not a lot of propaganda in these. They've kind of gotten a little bit cleaned up here, or either. Now this one are they? We could some people might they suggesting that Lady Liberty is the arsonist here. I have no idea. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but and then of course we've got who would they be without a DT? Who would they be? The DT never leaves. Okay, so you got the Twitters here, the Tweedle, 4 little birds, and you've got looks like an illustration of DT as President Trump. This is what could be more redundant than fireworks during the Trump presidency. And they're holding a paper that says fireworks on National Mall. They got to figure out how to get him back in. And here's even more. Look at that. Okay, looks like you've got Kim Jong-un. And that looks like President Trump, and I'm not sure who this representative is. Looks like he's playing a piccolo. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. This is pretty gross. Pretty gross. Yeah, I think this is a little thick enough here. Thick. All right, so let's come out of that just a bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the test/rabbit hole. Rabbit hole. Habitude. Habitude. Les habitudes. That's all. That's what it is. Okay. So here we are. We're back to the verbiage. We started out on the Juneteenth and July 4th of complimentary Independence Days that we should all celebrate. I have to say, some people I think are miserable, and they're going to be. And the thing about it is, it doesn't matter where they are. When they get to the next place, the misery will be right there waiting on them when they get there. All right. So according to this, dream of a just society born in 1776. You see, okay, they're kind of framing you up, painting you up. If we want to heal America, we just start with 2 premises. They left off the J there. That America needs to be healed, certainly, but also that America can be healed, that we have the capacity to right our own wrongs. We all know that a just society did not magically spring into the beginning on July 4, 1776, but the dream of such a society was given life that day and grew in the revolutionary days that followed. It's a dream that all people of goodwill share. It is, like Dr. Martin Luther King's dream, quote, deeply rooted in the American dream, end quote. All right, so here's another take. This is another opportunity I'm going to take. Every ideology seems to have a hook, okay? And I just think that unfortunately, MLK will always be the hook, even if they are doing the absolute antithesis or hijacking his message and manipulating all over the place. That's always the hook. And I say it and I call it the hook because if nobody remembers anything else, if you don't remember anything else that's said about some of this stuff, you're going to remember that one thing. And some people don't even tune in until they hear that one name, that hook. When the hook comes in, that's all you have to do. And here I'm going to go on another digression really quick. So I've talked a little bit about Kwame Brown and his content. And I think it's quite brilliant the way that he is, that he's actually getting a message out, because I think he's able to sell his his success. He's able to use the front of he's able to use his success that he had in the NBA as the number 1 draft pick at the time But then he's also got, it's almost kind of like for some people, wherever they are, no matter what their maturity level is, um, you can somehow you can put that very appealing thing on the front, and then you can have the real content and the real meat in the center, and then you can also cap it off. You can still cap it off with your relevance that you still have. Like, so he has enough relevance from that time, and he's actually getting quite a bit of a message out. He's some things these people have never heard of before that he shared on his channel, and it seems like they're able to take their, I'm calling it, he's got his own red pill, for the lack of a better word, but it's his pill, and he calls it, I guess it's Mama's Cooking. Mama's Cooking is a red pill in itself. It's not necessarily a red pill, it's a pill. It's certainly a pill, but it can only be taken with, it's digested well with his stardom, whether it be past or whatever you think of his career, with that on the front, the real content in the center, the real message in the center, or the real, or dare I say, the level up on the inside, and then on the bottom, he can wrap some other people, other credible people, into the mix. So he's able to pack a lot in that pill and gets a lot of information to a lot of people. Really, I think it's brilliant. It's very efficient, I think, with what he's doing. And whether you like the style of it or not, whether you can stomach the style of it or his language, that's up to your, that's your track, your digestive track. But yeah, I think it's quite brilliant the way that he's doing that. Yeah, but he's definitely, he's bringing a lot of things to the light that couldn't be. I don't think you can bring it. I don't think it could be done. I just think it's easier to digest what he's doing, because I think people, they can relate. I mean, there's something very relatable about him, but he's able to use that piece of, dare I say, elite, or he's able to use that equity, that sweat equity that he put into that time in during his elite run, to bring more knowledge, or bring people to a place that they haven't been before, whether it's to raise their political consciousness. Because I think sometimes people kind of get caught up in, oh, well, he's saying this and he's saying that, and they totally miss everything. They miss the whole message, or they miss what the real point is. But yeah, so that's another digression. So but I mean, I tune into that show, and I think there's always something to take away from it. And you take it in dosages. If you can't handle it, then you do what works for you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So yeah, this is kind of a test / whatever. I was running a little presentation clip on here, but let's go back into that article for just a second. So yeah, and then they go to the next line of Frederick Douglass in his famous 1952 oration, quote, "What to the slave is the 4th of July," end quote. Noted that, quote, "the distance between this platform and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable," end quote. Speaking to the white people of Rochester, New York, he referred to the Declaration of Independence as, quote, "the very ring bolt in the chain of your yet undeveloped destiny," end quote. Okay, the thing I want to say about this, I have not read that speech in its entirety, but I'm also told that speech is not, they don't read the entire, they take the sting out, they present the sting, but they don't do the whole, they don't let you hear the whole thing. And that's typical. If you can't if you're not going to teach people the whole context, then you're a hack. Oh, King Bluto, how are you? Happy Independence Day to you. I hope you're having a great evening and catching fireworks where available. I do think I caught about 30 seconds or 40 seconds of fireworks earlier. Yeah, I think I caught some of it earlier. So I don't know. But I will tell you this much, that I got an alert about people that were doing fireworks, which saying, oh, these people are doing fireworks illegally. So, that always comes up. So hope you guys are doing well out there. Thanks so much for tuning in. See, I live in on the west, on the left coast is where I live. It's very dry. It's very dry. I'm not sure what the exact same. SoCal. Yep. But it's every year. It's dry. But I don't know. I don't know how dry it is, but got a little notification. Fireworks and pets. Bring your pets in. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. Bring your pets in if you're out here. Bring them in. Bring them in. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to belabor that article, but as you can see, what is it? The wokey choke on the woke. And you're always going to have, like I said, people that, I will be honest. I didn't start to hear so much of this kind of rhetoric and things until I got older. But then I also found people to be like, just kind of miserable. Like I don't know. Do you really not have, I think as long as you treat yourself as an outsider, as long as you imagine yourself as an outsider, if you want to let people tell you who you are, what you are, even if whether you've been told who you are, or you just haven't found who you are, you're going to be miserable. So I kind of avoided those people growing up, or even I don't listen to what I consider to be things that are subjective, that people, that they can't, if you can't prove what you're saying, I don't really take a lot of time. I don't really invest a lot of time. And even as a younger person, I didn't invest my time in things that things like an opinion. Do you realize an opinion is just that? It's not, it's not fact. If you can't put your finger on it, to me, if you can't prove it, because I would want somebody to do that same, have that same kind of integrity, or that same type of, that same kind of respect, or apply that even for me. I mean, I think everybody wants to be given the benefit of the doubt, but I just see people, like I would see people just kind of slamming things with the same, because they heard somebody say something, or somebody repeated something, that was an opinion over and over and over again. And then they turn into an adult or a young adult, and they're repeating the same things over and over again. But it's the same thing that they say they hate about that group of people, but you turn around and apply it. You use a big brush and paint up a whole bunch of people. And I don't know. I just have to, I mean, even if I see people doing that in, like, people close to me, every now and then I just have to say, okay, we're not having this conversation, because there's no way. You have to understand that you don't know all people. You have to understand I don't know all people. I don't know all people on that street, 2 streets over. So there's no way that I can paint them with any kind of brush and say, these are all bad people. I can't do that. But it's easier for some to do that. But I just think that it's something that's ingrained, and it's something that starts much earlier. You don't just wake up one day and start talking like that, or carrying on like that. And then the other thing is, I don't know if it's just kind of an entitled generation. I know I'm digressing and I'm a little bit rambling here, but I think sometimes kids kind of grow up now, or either they've grown up with the idea that just because somewhere somebody told them, just because they don't have everything that they want, that they're impoverished or they're oppressed. And that cannot be true. It can't be. Because I think we can all find somebody, or we can find somebody probably within a very small radius that has less than us, and you can't. And just because you don't know those people are out there, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. But I will say for myself, I never thought of myself as, now this is, of course, this is my own personal experience. I never thought of myself as just, oh, woe is me. I don't have everything I want. Do I notice the difference between me? Do I notice the difference between a blue collar worker's kid and a white collar, or the banker's daughter? Or do I notice those things? Yes, I notice those things. But it never made me angry, or I never associated it with something that was out of my control, or something that was so subjective, because there will be other times where I might have somebody in my family say, oh, well, you're not going to be able to do this, and you're not going to be able to do this because, they would say, because you're black. They would say that. Okay, but then I would say, okay, well, that doesn't make sense, because I got this, and there were 10 people of a different background, and of the same background they happen to be, and I actually got number one in that. So why don't you apply this? Why don't you apply that same logic? Why are you so inconsistent that it just doesn't even really wash? I mean, as a kid, but I wasn't really I didn't grow up to to kind of challenge, as you say, dare I say, parents or elders. That was just not something that was done. And I think people don't do it now either, for whatever reasons. Kids don't necessarily challenge, but I think that they should do. Kids should be encouraged to, you can respectably, ask questions about, things that you observe, or things that don't quite make sense to you. But I don't think that was something that I thought was okay to do, growing up. But I looking back at it right now, I still wouldn't do it. But that doesn't mean my mind is not working, that I'm not processing, and I'm not accept, because this doesn't jive. I didn't accept it. I can process it in some way, but it doesn't mean that I've accepted your conclusion, your resolve, because, you're not in the situation. So there again, I'm doing a little bit of a ramble here, but I think this kind of started on about, like, just finding people to be kind of miserable. And you can't really do anything. If you're miserable, you're going to be miserable. And some people don't want to be miserable alone. What was it? Lion Patriot has a comment for me. Save yourselves. Make a comment. Latin Patriot says, don't you miss the good old days where freedom of speech existed and censorship wasn't happening? Yes, because I know it's a good point that you make that, because like that last stream that I just did, I was being really awkward about, I was making a really awkward comment, trying to avoid saying the date of the insurrection. Everything is hyperbolic, massacre, mass shooting, everything is on a 10 point. Is that, we've gone from, just look at it, just look at the language. We've gone from a 6 point something to a 9 something in very, very short period of time. I just used to look for 6 months. It's gotten thick, and really quickly. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I want to say hello to Tyrant Spain TOA. Thank you so much for coming in, for coming back. And Latin Patriot, he said you stayed away from losers. Well, I don't know. But, like I said, you'll have kids that are, kids are mean. What can I say? Kids are mean. And if you are doing, if you, it's like the minute that you are not doing what the majority is doing, you're automatically on the radar. And I just think kids are still mean. But look at what's going on. Look at what the influences that we're dealing with right now. And so I just want to say hello to everybody in the stream, because I'm probably going to wrap this up, because I started out with a little bit of a graphic that was kind of pointing you to our article from the USA Today. And I don't really follow a whole lot of stuff from the USA Today, but I know that they usually write a lot of slanted stuff. It's really super uber, liberal or progressive or just downright just full. It's to me that article is full of propaganda, and it's also divisive. But thing about it is they've planted so much imagery out there that the people that don't like to read don't even have to read these articles at this point. You already planted that seed of deception. It's already been planted in so many ways. So you don't have to plant it right now. It's already been done. And this is I Love Borders. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. And I will be saying salute to everybody in the stream. Thank you so much for tuning in for the test/rabbit hole. I think we should just call it the rabbit hole because I think that's probably better representation. And Zero to Infinite's here. Thanks so much. I will be right back. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And it's Zero to Infinite says, make sure you hit the like button. I really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save you some breath on that, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. Guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this thing of Black Spring with Autumn. Okay, I just want to do a final salute to everybody in the stream, and thank you guys for those of you that decided to come back. I really appreciate it. And if you didn't catch it, I did get a few fireworks, like 30 seconds or less. So that's on another video, but catch it while it lasts. I'm not sure if I'll keep it up, but thank you so much, Nick Smith. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Latin Patriot, thank you so much for coming in. And King Bluto, aka Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you, Chrysler, for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all that you do and for being around. And I always want to say that to, I have some people that have been around for over a year. Maybe it's even going near 2 years. But I really appreciate you, sir, so much for coming around and sticking around. Tyrant Spain TDOA is here. And Tyrant Spain TDOA is one of those also. So he's been with Black Spring with Autumn and the channel, been on the journey for a long time. It's always been a great supporter, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all that you do. And yeah, you guys check out each other's channels around here. And Zero the Infinite's here. Thank you so much for supporting. And I have somebody over on the Twitch. Thank you guys so much. All right, so that looks like that's gonna do it for our test slash rabbit hole. That's gonna do it for the test slash rabbit hole. And Anarchy Television is here. Thank you, Anarchy Television. And I did catch your sound. I did catch your video, and I did those sounds. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your Independence Day. And I guess it'll be extended through tomorrow. At least I think it's there's enough observance that's going through tomorrow. So if you didn't get started today, or I guess if you had to work today, then maybe you'll have tomorrow if you didn't get today. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming in, and I'll see you guys as always on the next live stream, on a video, a night queue. And I'm going to be adding these. Have you seen this kind of segment to the program? Because sometimes it's just something that I've seen, and I just want to share it, as is. And it could be anything from social media. I showed you guys the extremes earlier of what they're trying to, get you to get support, and and their guardrails on extremism. So I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much for tuning in to this segment, and I'll see you guys around. If you're just coming in, please catch us on the replay, and have a great rest of the night.